Welcome to Dark Knight, where strategy meets shadows. Today I'll show you the Caro-Kann Defense. It means of white playing pawn to e4, instead of replying pawn to e5, we play our pawn to c6, opening up the file for our queen and allowing our pawn d7 to move to d5. White plays their pawn to d4, strengthening their control of the center, and we play our pawn to d5. Now white has two options. They can either capture or not capture. If they capture, we can just recapture with the pawn, or we can recapture with the queen. Either one will do. As you can see, if we capture with the queen, we have a strong pawn chain here, and our queen is out in the center where the queen is more active and able to use more attacks against the king. For instance, let's say white moves this pawn forward, we can move here and deliver a check, and then they can block for the queen, and if we want to, we can capture the queen. However, let's say they don't capture, and let's say instead they push this pawn forward, we can then just develop our pieces. We can move this pawn here, and you'll soon see why. Let's say they move up their knight. We can then move our bishop here and pin their knight to the queen. Then let's say they move this pawn to try and make a pawn chain, and the knight, as you can see, is protecting these two pawns along with this pawn that I just moved. We bring our knight out to... Now if we move here, we'll die. So we need to remove this pawn first. So move the pawn to f6. If they capture, then we can move our knight out into the center of the board where they're more active, and they can move to 8 squares instead of on the side where they could only move to 3 or 4. Now that you know the Caro-Kann defense, I'm going to show you in a game. Let us begin. Okay, so we're going to move our pawn to c6, allowing our queen and our c5 pawn to move forward. Now we'll move our pawn to d5. Will they capture? Okay, they did capture. Now we can just recapture. However, I'm going to capture with the pawn, because if I capture the queen, the knight will take back, and I'd rather lose the pawn. Lose the pawn than the queen. So now it's their turn. Okay, they do check. Now if I block with my knight, if I block with my bishop, I'll block with my knight, so that I can use the white bishop and use it along the diagonals to attack the queen and king. Okay, they just move the bishop back. To prevent them from pinning my knight again, I'm going to move the pawn to a6 forward, so that way the bishop can't come back here and attack my knight. Now I'm going to move the pawn here to h5 forward, so that way I can prepare the bishop to attack their queen. Okay, they move their queen out of the way. Where should I move now? If I take the pawn... I'm going to build up my pawn chain right here. They're taking a while. Oh, they move. Okay, so they're attacking my bishop. If I take back, they'll take back the queen. What if I attack the queen though and move my bishop back? Okay. Now I'll fianchetto my bishop to g6. No, that's g7. That way I can attack this pawn here in the center. And then, since only one piece, the queen, is protecting it, I can take it with my knight or my bishop. Okay, now they're attacking my other bishop. I could if I block. Yeah, I'll block them with the pawn. Okay, they move back. I'm going to move this pawn forward and attack the bishop and create a pawn chain again. And now I'm going to move this pawn and have the ultimate pawn chain. 4 pawns. Very nice. Very impenetrable. Okay, now I can capture here now if I want to attack their bishop. Yeah, I'll capture with the knight. Oh wait, I just realized the pawn's in the way. Oh, they didn't notice. That's surprising. They just gave up their knight. And now I'm attacking their rook and protecting the knight at the same time. Okay. I'd move here. Wait, hang on. Capture here. I could use the rook. Their attack. Yeah, I'll take their bishop. They could take my queen, and I'll just take their other knight, I guess. Oh, yeah, I'll avenge the queen and take back this knight here. Now I'm gonna Uno reverse attack and attack the queen with my rook. And when the queen moves out the way, this file will be mine. And I left my bishop to die again. I'm sorry, pieces. I didn't mean to sacrifice you like this. Wait, hang on. Can I checkmate? Move here, attack the queen. Wait, bruh. They just gave up their queen. Did they forget my pawn was there? Well, now I'm winning again. In terms of points. Okay. Wait, hang on. If I move here, I can move my knight to g4, and then I take this pawn. And when I take this pawn, I can promote this pawn to here. Then, okay, let me move here. I forgot it's not protected. And this pawn was already not. Oh, I gave up the rook. They're doing blunders just like me, just as bad as mine. Oh yeah, I can easily promote it to a queen. Check. They only have one square to move to. Okay. And now they have to give up their rook. Oh, I think I see checkmate. If I move here, then I move. Oh, I'm running out of time. No, now they can be on the same file. Okay then. Not quite checkmate, but we're almost there. Oh, bruh. I'll capture this pawn too. Move this pawn forward. And I ran out of time. Oh, what do you think of the Caro-Kann defense? Let me know in the comments, and thanks for watching. And do you think I should keep having 3-minute games, or do you prefer the 1-minute games? Let me know in the comments.